Hey, good morning. Welcome to Hobby Evolution, episode 1408. Looks like I have lipstick on this morning. I think it's because it's so dry outside. Just showered. I look like the Joker. My hair slicked back. My lips are bright. I should wear a mask this morning. What's happening? Good morning. Happy Monday. Back to it. We are on time this morning. On time at 7 a.m. How about that? I slept through the night. Well, let me take that back. I slept through the night because Ernie slept through the night. But he did. He had to go potty. I woke up at 5:45. My alarm was set for 6. I woke up at 5:45, and Ernie maybe woke me up at 5:45, but I was like coming out of a vivid dream. And Ernie's like, I gotta go pee and poop. I'm like, all right, let's go. So I didn't just lay in bed for a half an hour scrolling. So I got up, he pooped, he peed, and put him back into bed. I did some shipping already this morning, and I still have 280, I think, orders to ship. How many? Refresh this screen. 282 orders to ship. And I shipped most of Saturday, most of Sunday, this morning. Top Series 1 and Fuego. So Ernie pooped and peed, and I shipped, and here we are. I woke up from this vivid dream, and like it's so vivid. My wife and I bought. So this is strange. So we bought this 12,000 square foot former hospital that was turned into a house, and we're like rebuilding this giant property in like the Peoria, Illinois area, which is like random. And so, and it was on part of the house was on a rail, so we could ride a train essentially, and rode it like 5 miles. And I just remember I remember doing like cell phone video, because it's like, who rides a train in their house, or whose house is a train? And I just remember getting off thinking, oh man, I'm glad, because it was just like, I think it was just like a contractor was driving the train. It's like, oh man, does he know how to drive a train? And then it took us to this like area, and 5 Star Cards had a booth with their stuff. It was only supplies. And no cards. And we ordered a sandwich, and I remember eating a sandwich, and my wife and I are like having this discussion about like the new house, and like we're gonna move, and like it didn't even dawn on me. And I'm like, well, what are you gonna do with your business? Like, are you still gonna like sell real estate in Madison, or are you gonna open an office here? And like we were having that after we were already like starting it was crazy. And then like people from like this family, and I know why they appeared in my dream, because I saw like a family get together on Facebook yesterday, or maybe even as I was right before I fell asleep. And I'm friends with one of, I think there were 3 kids. I'm friends with one of them on Facebook. One of them was like a year older than me, not friends on Facebook, and like I hadn't seen a photo of him in forever. So they were there, and I just appeared in my random ass dream. So weird, like where does that stuff, like where do those dreams come from? Like it's just, where do dreams come from? Just random dreams. So I shipped a lot yesterday, man. I shipped a lot. Series 1, I tallied that I'm right around 2,000 in gross sales, which is still a little short of profit. Not by much, getting closer. I did sell a couple of the like $20 cards yesterday. Most of like the bigger stuff is sold. So we're about to the point of getting priced out for a rip and flip. Series 1 used to be like a no-brainer. back when it was $1,000, $1,200, 1,000 or 1,200, you could still make money. You could still make easy money. The prices really haven't, base and inserts sell for the same today that they sold for, 3, 4, 5 years ago. And, but the box prices have increased. And so we're getting to that flipping point. Now, I'll still do it. Next year, I'll still rip Series 1, a whole case of it, because I enjoy it. It does drive a lot of traffic to my store. It might be a lot of work for break even, but it is what it is. And sometimes you take those, I don't make money on 99-cent cards, free shipping. If somebody comes in and buys one, it's a loss leader. So Series 1 could potentially be a loss leader and maybe hit like the Ichiro red auto like I hit last year. Although I'm right around the same sales number that I did last year, even including that sale from last year. So, but we are getting close where it's not easy money anymore. It used to be easy money. A couple of years ago, it was easy money. And now it's like, it's not easy anymore. You really got to, I put the same amount of work into it, but the margins are closing in. I'm making the same gross that I did 3-4 years ago, but it's that net that gap is closing. And where it used to be, oh yeah, you can make $500 flipping everything, keep your Cubs, flip everything else. And today it's like, it might be $100. And those margins are razor thin. So, and you look at Series 1, and if your margins are going to be razor thin on Series 1, what's that tell you about other releases throughout the year? Now, will I still open other cases this year? Probably. I won't do Big League this year. I won't do Heritage this year. And depending on timing of release, I'll do Allen and Ginter, and I lost money on Allen and Ginter, but it's fun and it makes up for the entertainment value on top of what I get in return on my investment makes up for it. So that entertainment makes up for the small loss that I take on a case of Allen and Ginter. But it's not like you don't want to buy like 10 cases and then all of a sudden it's a substantial loss. And I'm not going to do that with every single product because I don't enjoy opening every single, a case of Big League was like, fuck this. That sucked. Ripping that. It's like, oh my God, I've got 2 boxes still to open. Like that's at the point where it's like, this is work and not even making a profit on that. So those walls are closing in. Cody's got a good point, a good question. Topps case versus Goodwill pallet. So both. And it depends on, what's the end. If the end goal is to make money, it's a Goodwill pallet. Although they're both gambles. And here's the thing, they're both gambles. Like I don't know what's inside my case of Topps Series 1, although I have a much better idea what's in a Series 1 case than I do a Goodwill pallet. I've opened enough where I know, okay, the ceiling's kind of gonna be here, but the floor is where you're making your money on all this base, all of everything else. And next year, even though I did I did better on my autos. I think collectively I did better on my autographs in this year's jumbo case than I did last year. Last year, my biggest hit wasn't even I did. This year, my biggest autograph hit was in a regular pack. It wasn't a silver pack auto. Obviously, the Ichiro silver pack auto was the biggest hit in 2024. So I may go hobby next year. Now, here's you get more bang for your buck out of hobby in terms of the floor. The floor comes up because you're getting more base. However, you're not guaranteed the autos. You get 12 boxes. but you're probably only going to pull 4 or 5 autos. You get 1 silver pack, but you get 12 boxes. So you're getting the same amount of silver packs in a hobby case as you are a jumbo case. You get 2 silver packs per jumbo box, 1 silver pack per hobby box, but you're getting twice as many boxes. So you're getting the same amount of silver packs in a hobby case as you are a jumbo case. You're getting more base cards, which is that's where your profit is. Once you get there, if you get there. So I think next year with Series 1, I'll probably go hobby case next year. Because it's a gamble on the autographs that you get, the hits that you get. So when it comes down to choosing between a Goodwill pallet or a case of Top Series 1, okay, if last week it's like, okay, you only get a Series 1 case or a Goodwill pallet, and I have to choose at release, I'm taking a Series 1 case over the Goodwill pallet. Now, if it's next week and you say, okay, and I haven't got my case of Tops, and it's we're 2 weeks in of after release of Tops, I'm taking the Goodwill pallet because the sales are going to be slower on Tops. The prices are going to be coming down. So it all depends. It all depends. I choose both if that's an option. If it's not an option, it's all about timing. If it's on release day or the day after release, I'm taking the Top Series 1 case. If we're talking a week later, 2 weeks later, I'm taking the Goodwill pallet. I want to talk about Saturday Night Live today as well. Sometimes we talk about hobby. Hey, we talked hobby right there. The 50th anniversary was last night, so I did not watch the concert that they aired on Friday night, but we did watch last night's 50th anniversary special. Christian's in the house. Good morning. JK is here. Good morning. How were the weekend sales house Top Series 1 numbers looking? So I just shared my numbers. I'm still falling short of profit, but I'm right around 2,000, maybe a little bit more than 2,000 in gross sales, which I'm getting really close to break even. But it's like I've got to really grind to get now the sales are mostly going to be $1.50, $2, $3, because I think most of the hits have sold. So weekend sales, great. I don't know if I have my numbers up. I'm falling short of everything right now through yesterday. I need to be at 40% growth year over year. I'm falling short of that number. Where realistically I wanted to be at 60 to 70% growth. And I'm at like 35% growth year to date. So I really need to now. My Derrick Rose rookie auto just sold this morning, so I don't think it's been paid for yet. But so that's $125 sale. That always helps the average sale price. I'm still going to see some Series 1 sales. Hopefully I can get some. I still have a ton of stuff from the Goodwill pallet. I have a ton of stuff from last weekend's Janesville card show to list. I've got some auctions that I'm going to put up tomorrow night, 99centcards.com. So I think I can make a push here for the rest of the month, the rest of February, and get that number up. Because then I go into spring training, and I kind of like my timing on spring training from my business standpoint, where the first half of March, because the first couple days of March, I'm not going to be focusing on sales because I'm getting prepared for my trip. And then I'll be in Arizona from March 4th through the 12th. I'm going to come back and have to be catching up on shipping. So I'm really going to be like 16 days behind, but it gives me that entire second half of the month to focus on sales. Whereas when it's split in the middle of the month, it's like the first week, it's like kind of on the downward decline, and then I'm at spring training, and then I come back and I'm shipping, and then all of a sudden it's the end of the month, and I just feel like my timing now, front loaded trip, back end, I can really get my sales back into full gear. Where are we at? L1C's in the house. Happy Monday. Cooter is here. He says, what the hell? You're on time. Yeah. Thanks to Ernie. Hey, yesterday morning he kept me up all night. And the reason I was so late yesterday morning, and he's the reason I'm on time this morning. Now, and I can't wait to send him off to doggy daycare. He was kind of a terror. So we actually discussed yesterday. It's like, maybe we should start taking him to doggy daycare on Saturdays, because he's good on Saturday. But then on Sunday, and plus it's like freaking foot of snow on the ground. It's cold. He's just a little guy, so we're not going to take him out for a walk. So it's like we should start taking him on Saturdays, and that way he gets Sunday to rest, and then he's back ready to go full bore on Monday again. So, and he will be at doggy daycare this coming Saturday, regardless, because it's the Madison. What? Did you hear that? Where did that come from? The music was from my Twitter. That was weird. Knackley Collectibles says, good morning. Dealing with the Top Series 1 listing and shipping hangover. Yeah, it's real. It's real. Lots of ship. I shipped all weekend, and I am still shipping out Friday orders, like Friday morning orders. That's how many sales I had on Thursday. Like all day, Saturday and Sunday, I was shipping out Thursday orders. And probably Saturday I was shipping out some Wednesday orders as well. But I looked at my timestamps on the orders I was shipping, and it's like 9 a.m. Friday. I'm like, Jesus. Only 282 to go. Dad Dude from Duryea says, what's up, guys? I dream of getting cards organized, but I can't ever get there. Hey, I think we all are unless you're a minimalist collector, I think we all strive to get to organization. I don't think I'll ever be organized, but not with that attitude. I won't. I need to switch up my attitude. I'm going to get organized. But if I get organized, I'm going to spend all my time getting organized and not making any money making sales. There you go. We talked about that question. Dad Dude says Heritage was really good to flip, but they changed a few years back, and master sets couldn't be made with one case. I made a killing ripping and flipping Heritage back in the day. Now we're talking pre-COVID. I think the height of my ripping and flipping for Heritage was 2016. 2016, I think, was my best year. And it wasn't because of one big hit. It was just, there was so much demand for that product. And everything was flying. 2017, I think it was a little less. 2018, I did do a case in 2018, and I think I actually either broke even or maybe even lost some money on Heritage. And then I think I took a break. I don't think I ripped a case in 2019. I know I did not in 2020 or 2021. I don't think I ripped a case of Heritage again until maybe I did in 2021. Maybe I did rip a case in 2021. But it's certainly not even close to those glory days. John says, I'm told the whole hobby is a gamble. I'm trying to adjust. Your biggest auto hit in 2024 came out of a pallet. That is true. That is true. Gem City Card Show, good morning. I helped my daughter sort some of her cards yesterday. She said she really liked WNBA, bought a box of Monopoly Prism, and we pulled a silver Prism Clark, I guess, before bed. Great hobby moment. Very cool. Philly Joe's in the house. Good morning. Cooter says, now that John is here, can you talk about your pricing strategy on repacks? I can, yes. Okay, so here's this. Zach and Porter are here. Good morning. What do you do with all the gum from the packs? Rest in peace, Phil Hartman. Red Light 34 is here. Good morning. Rest in peace, gum and packs. Rest in peace, Montreal Expos. Yeah, they all died in the 90s. Made it through the SNL 50 last night. It was awesome. I loved it. Rest in peace, White Cross hats that get confused with Red Cross hats. Flawed Thinker says, my son just got a couple blasters and hangers for a late Christmas present. I offered him $20 for all of it. He rejected my offer and opened it all to find nothing. He ended up just giving me all the cards. Hey, for nothing. And that's a valuable lesson. And that's actually a great teaching moment. We generally speaking tend to, teach kids to buy singles. But I think we should also teach kids to make mistakes and learn from them. I think there's a lot of hand-holding that needs to be done from adults because we have that, we got to tell them not to do this, and we just tell them not to do something. Touch that. Do you really want to touch that stove, Jimmy? Jimmy wants to touch the stove. It's really hot. Jimmy, that stove is really hot. You shouldn't touch it. But I want to touch it. Jimmy, it's really hot. Are you sure you want to touch that stove? I want to touch it. Okay, Jimmy, touch the stove. And now Jimmy won't ever touch the fucking stove again. We don't do that anymore. We got a handhold. What should I do? I don't know. What should you do? What should you do? And I joke. So my wife and I had this back and forth as we do every night. What are we going to do for dinner? And so I said, and I'm not picky. Like, I'll just go eat some popcorn for dinner. Like, whatever. And so we'll go back and forth. And I'm like, you are the picky one. What would you like to eat? And she's like, I don't know. You make a decision. And I'm like, but my decision, you may probably not like. And I'm like, here, if I was not here, if I was at a card show, if I was at spring training right now, what would you do for dinner? She's like, I don't know. Well, pretend I'm not here. And that's your answer. Where was I? Oh, so his son learned a lesson. And so instead of telling our kids, no, you shouldn't buy blaster boxes because you're not going to get anything good from them. You should use that money to buy singles. Why don't you, if they really want to, let them spend their $20 on a blaster box, and more than likely they're not going to hit something big. And they get junk and they're like, well, this was junk. And you're like, well, was it worth your $20? No. Buy singles next time. And maybe they will. Or what if they pull a Ichiro Red Auto and they think every blaster is going to bring them a Ichiro Red Auto? Well, buy them another blaster. Here you go. Oh, there's nothing in that one. You're going to pull an Ichiro Auto on one blaster. I guarantee you're not going to pull something big on the net. Well, I guess I can't guarantee it, but the odds are not in the favor, not in your favor. So I like that. I like how that played out, Flawed Thinker. Offered the $20. Nope, I'm going to open them. And I don't like what I got. Well, son, you should have taken the $20. And lesson learned. Maybe. John says, I'm about to commit to a dance with the devil. This is not the first time in my life I have said this. I'm going to list the same card over several platforms. Ooh, that is a dance with the devil. I do not like doing that. I don't even like using more than one platform. But that's just, my brain doesn't like it. Zach says, I was watching a Luis Robert 2025 Topps card. I received an offer, $1.35 off the $1.50 that contemplating. I got an email stating the price dropped to 99 cents. I may still accept the $1.35 price. There you go. See, sometimes those offers are open. Sometimes waiting is the hardest part, as Tom Petty says, but sometimes waiting can be the best part. John says, it will take some effort to keep straight, but at least one platform gives me veto power over a transaction should the timing be awkward. John says, Jesus, where? Just send the dog away to boarding school if you don't want to parent him. John, you two-timer, you. Josie is not excited about going outside today. It's negative 15. It was cold when we went outside. It was cold this morning. It is negative 5. Feels like it's negative 11. That's why Ernie went poop real fast. Christian says, just bought a card to add another order to your plate. Yes. Keep them coming. 99centcards.com. JK says, getting 2 bottles of wine deep Friday night was fun until I realized at 10:30 I had about 70 orders I had to print off as they were due Friday. Valentine's Day regrets. Sue. Yeah, that's a bummer. John says, I'm running 3 different organization schemes: collection, eBay, and TCDB. Each is organized a different way. I'm trying to think of how, so I have, I guess I have my general collection / inventory. I guess I have my collection, which is Cubs, not organized. eBay, very organized. Trading card database, not organized. It's organized in that it's on trading card database, but after that, it's in that shelf behind me, but in no particular order. Zach, that's a tomorrow problem. That's something I'll worry about. That's a future Bo problem. The organization of the already listed TCDB. At least it's in one spot. At least I have that going for me, where in the past it's like I log these, I put them in a box, and then the box gets put in with the rest of the unorganized shit. And that's what presents problems. And I've had to delete my logged collection probably 2 or 3 times in the past. At least now it's all in one place. Zach says, I agree with John. I asked AI for responsibilities when owning a dog. First bullet point is commitment. You're responsible for your dog's well-being their entire life. Absolutely. But he's a puppy with so much energy. We cannot play with him for 10 hours a day. There's just not, I have other things to do. So we send our kids off to school. And that's what I'm doing with Ernie. That's what we are doing with Ernie. Why don't you parent your kids at home and home teach them? Why don't we do that? That's what we're doing. We're sending Ernie off to school. Max says, organization is for the weak. Gem City says, Max, if this is true, I'm really strong. Amen. Amen to that. Ditto. If kids only wear Crocs, we won't have to teach them to wear comfortable shoes to the national. Think about it. Oh, that's a good point. It's a good point. If you already have the comfortable shoes, what should I do? What should I mean, that's hand holding. Like, if you should be told to wear comfortable shoes to somewhere you know you're going to be standing and walking for 12 hours, like, come on. We don't need to tell people to wear comfortable shoes. JK says, Jimmy will just follow Bo and buy Goodwill pallets for life. And sometimes that's the case. Bo giving kid advice. Dude struggling to parent an 8-pound lint ball. Hey, he's 10 now. He's 10 pounds. Johnny M in the house. Good morning. Zach says, I'm getting lectured on how to teach kids from a fellow who's boarding a dog 15. It's how many hours a day is it? It's about 7 hours a day. Less than your kids are going to school. Flawed Thinker says, my son was trying to get me to give him more for the blasters. He's like, these go for 25 on the open market. Smart. I proceeded to tell him to find someone else to buy them at market value. I love the lessons Flawed Thinker is teaching. I love it. If Jimmy still calls himself Jimmy after turning 18, I will be having words with him. Flawed Thinker says he was definitely bummed that he didn't pull anything. When he was done ripping, he said he should have taken the first deal. Lesson learned. John says, I consider TCDB a platform. I'll be listing on TCDB and eBay. Collection organized by year and set. eBay organized by player name. TCDB organized by year. Jimmy hates Kramer. Multitasking, they call it. JK says, I feel like everyone learned their lesson on buying wax before shifting to singles. But sometimes there's degenerate gamblers that just rip wax and they don't care. There's all kinds. Like, I mean, we are all different. I know going in, Top Series 1, I expect to make money on my case of Top Series 1. It's going to be, I'll make money, but it's going to take longer this year than it did last year and the year before and the year before that. Topps Big League, I learned my lesson on that last year, was not a moneymaker. Allen and Ginter, not a moneymaker. But I also knew that going in. I knew that it was going to be very hard to recoup my return because I have experience opening cases of Allen and Ginter. But I love Allen and Ginter. And depending on timing, I will buy a case knowing I'll probably lose money on it. Top Series 1 this year, the sales didn't really, and I had some decent sales. 150 here, 275 there, 150, another 100. But I think I haven't sold as much, and I still have. I lowered my singles prices, and I think I'll get a lot of bulk orders here over the next couple of weeks, and that'll get me into the profit range. But that's what gets me into the profit range, and so I think next year I'll take a different approach to Series 1, and instead of buying a jumbo case, I'll buy a hobby case. Because it's Top Series 1. I'm not going for the hits where it's like, well, you get a guaranteed auto in the jumbo case, in the jumbo box. You get an auto or a relic in the hobby case where it's like, well, you're still going to get probably 4, maybe 5 autos in a case, probably 4 of a hobby case. And maybe in probably one, out of 12 silver packs, you'll probably get an auto out of 12. That's kind of what I got 2 autos out of 12 silver packs this year. I can't remember if I got a second auto out of silver packs last year or not. So, but I think I'll take that approach. I think I'll go hobby case in 2026. Dogs want to bond with their owners. I don't know if my dog does. He likes to bond. I mean, we get a solid 17 hours of bonding, 17 hours a day, plus weekends. Kids want nothing to do with their parents. There is a distinct difference. Ernie loves his friends at doggy daycare just as much as Ernie bonds with his friends at doggy daycare just as much as he does here with us. I'll be rolling into the Nationals this year like Mac Hollins. Society pressures us to send our kids to school. There is a law enforced if they aren't there or signed up for home learning. Not the same. Outlier. You can homeschool. I have friends that homeschool their kids. There's no laws against it. What's Bo's biggest purchase gamble? That's a tough one. I don't know. I'm trying to think because I know I've made several gambles and many of them failed. I'm trying to think. Oh, okay. Here's a good game. Here's a great one. And this is a fail. I want to share my failures. My biggest gamble and fail right during not really. It's hard to say when the exact peak of the hobby boom was. But I would say the National in 2021 was about as peak as it gets, probably. And at that National, basketball had come down. Basketball peaked early in COVID. Basketball peaked like right at the beginning, and then it started its decline. And so it was in a decline in 2020 at the National in 2021. And still popular? Absolutely. As popular as it was a year ago? No. So I took a gamble. And I bought I went to the National in 2021 with a $3,000 budget. And this was just a side hustle. This was not my full-time business in 2021. So I had 3,000 that I was just going to spend on whatever the hell I wanted, not even necessarily to resell. I bought a bunch of Cubs tobacco cards. I bought bargain box, autograph, just everything I wanted. $3,000 to piss away however I wanted. It wasn't for inventory. It was for kind of a mix. Like I did want, because I mean, it's a side hustle. I'm trying to make money too. So take $3,000, and the last day I still had like, I don't know, $600, $700 left. And I'm like, I got to spend this money. And now I realize I can, another thing that I learned during that time, like there's other card shows. Like I know the National is the National, but I can take that $600 or $700 and save it for a week later and go to a card show and probably find something. But that $500-$600 was burning a hole in my pocket on Sunday at the National in 2021. And there was a dealer that had a ton of like bargain slabs. And I think it's Sunday, so they dropped the price. And of course, I'm like, hey, if I buy like 50 of these, would you? Like, oh yeah, we'll do. And they gave me a great deal. And I think I ended up paying around $10 or $12 a slab. And I think they were all like SGC. And it was all modern basketball. You know where I'm going with this. All right. So I already told you I failed on it. I think I did break even though, eventually. It took me about a year and a half, but I broke even on it. We're talking guys like Matisse Thybulle, Jordan Poole, who was like the only win of the group. Kyle Kuzma, one of the Williams. There's like a bunch of Williams. I'm trying to think of who else was in there, but a whole bunch of slabs. And they were like SGC 9s. RJ Barrett, I think, was another name that was in there. But they were mostly SGC 9s. There might have been like one or two 8s. There were a few 10s. Jalen McDaniels was another one. There was like a silver PSA 10 or SGC 10. And so I ended up getting these for $10-$12 a pop. And I sold, there was Alonzo Ball that I think I sold for 20 at a card show. So that was a win. Then I sold a Jordan Poole like a month or two later, like he all of a sudden came up, and I'm like, hey, this is good. And I think I sold his for like $50. And I'm like, all right, this is a good start. But then none of the other players really panned out. I think I sold a couple Kyle Kuzmas I think I sold the first one for like $20. Might have been on eBay. And then I had 3 total Prism rookies of Kuzma. And then the other 2, I think I sold at a card show for $10. So that's basically a break even. I ended up having like 20. And I mean, I bought like, gosh, there was at least 50. And I think I had about 20 left. And after like a year and a half, I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to blow these out. And I sold them at a Janes. I think it might have been the first Janesville card show that they did. And I sold all of them for $5 each. So I think that ended up getting me to break even. But it took me a year and a half. So it wasn't like a big fail, but it was not a good purchase. It was definitely a gamble that didn't pay off like I expected it to. If you would have told me on that Sunday at the National, all right, you're going to spend $600 on all these slabs, but you're only going to break even, and it's going to take you a year and a half to do it. That's a big time loss. That's a big time loss in my book. So, in most people's books. That was a gamble. That's one that I use as an example. So I'd say that one. John says, I learned my wax lesson with 1988 Donruss e-bike. Hey, I'm going to get the e-bike out. There's a new place my buddy was talking about in Mount Horeb, which is along the bike trail. So this spring, I'm going to get it tuned up. I only used it. I think I rode it twice last summer, which was one more time than the previous year. But I put a ton of miles on it the first 2 years. Brian's in the house. Good morning. Cooter says YouTube should ban all countdown to the national videos. Most boring content ever posted again and again. Again, I agree. Wear comfortable shoes. End of story. John says, Cooter, how many Hobby Palooza tickets can we count on you buying this year? And that's what Hobby Palooza is. I can't wait for the national by 20 different content creators. Gem City Card Show. Today, I'll be posting my countdown to the National High Heels edition. There you go. I hope they're comfortable. Countdown to Strongsville videos are also coming our way. Porter says, good morning. Day 5 of my kid being out of school. He's due back tomorrow, but the incoming snowstorm will probably keep the schools closed. Effing F-bomb. Effing F-bomb. I don't think we just have really cold weather coming up this way. Below 0 temps the next several days. Hey, Madison Card Show is this Saturday. It's going to warm up, though. It's not going to be super cold. It's going to be, I think, in the 20s this Saturday. So come out and see us at the Madison Card Show Saturday at the Sheraton Hotel on John Nolan Drive, 9 to 3, 140 tables this Saturday. John says they should call them Nautos instead of autos. Johnny says, I rip products expecting to lose. If I break even, I'm happy. But again, not paying bills with it. It only ripped 3 to 4 products a year. There you go. And yeah, ripping product is certainly, I would not advise it if you want to make money. Series 1, I expect to make money on. But everything else, it's a gamble. And I know Allen and Ginter, I'm going to lose money ripping a case of Allen and Ginter. But I enjoy it. And I know I can recoup a decent amount back. But it's more of the entertainment value that I get from opening that product. Merle says, we're going to have a countdown to spring training trip here soon. Countdown's begun. It's 18 days? How many days is it? Let's see. How many days in February? This year we got 28 days. So 11, 15. Ooh, it's getting real close. I got those piles that I need to start organizing. Shit. So I think I've got my last of the custom packs should be coming in this week. Although I'd like to get another pack made, which I may do that and just have them sent to the hotel, which I've done that the last few years. Each of the last 2-3 years I've had that shipped out there. John says, I can't homeschool kids. I actually have to earn a living. Well, me too. I can't homeschool our puppy because I've got to earn a living. Knackley Collectibles. I feel that you getting Series 1 even a day late may have hurt you. I think prices are tanking faster this year. I don't think that's the case. In last year, I noticed that Bowman, and I'll compare Bowman to Top Series 1. Bowman, I sell the shit out of your first Bowmans and first Chromes like crazy at release. And last year was probably when I first noticed it. And maybe it's been going on. I just didn't track it as closely before last year. But Top Series 1, it's a trickle. And I had a couple 30 and 40 card orders yesterday of base cards. Now, could that be because I dropped my price to 99 cents on most of the base? Probably. But I think last year I started my pricing at 99 cents right off the gate, right off the bat. And it lingered. So I didn't see those sales coming until a few days later. I am not disappointed with any of my sales. Everything sold at or above my expectations upon ripping. The Ben Rice Gold Mirror actually sold higher than the only other comp. The first sale of the Ben Rice Gold Mirror was 112. Mine sold for 150. I think with Porter, his Aaron Judge Golden Mirror, the first sale was 226. His sold for 250 something, 260 something. So note to self on golden mirrors, don't hit that accept offer button real quick, especially if there's no other sales. I'm sure there's probably somewhere, it hurt, but I think overall I'm happy. I don't think I missed out on too much money being a day late, especially as quickly as I was able to get. Now, if I didn't prepare my spreadsheet, and I went into it like I did last year, I'd still be listing. I probably would have had it done over the weekend, but I definitely wouldn't have had everything. I mean, I had everything listed Thursday night, and I think maybe some of the inserts first thing Friday morning. But I think I actually got my listings up before I got them up last year, even being a day late. Last year, I got my case right on release day, but I think I was still listing cards on Friday night. This year, everything, 95% of my cards were up Thursday night, where that wasn't the case a year ago. So I don't think so I can't blame FedEx too much. It would have been nice to get it on Wednesday and, have everything listed Wednesday night instead of Thursday night, but I don't think it really hurt my sales too much. Could I squeezed a few extra bucks here and there? Most definitely. But at the end of the day, I think it was okay. Nothing to complain about. Zach says, correct. You can homeschool, but by law, kids have to be taught. There is no law on dogs going to a care setting. Well, of course, I understand that. Prices are tanking faster this year. The market is so saturated. I honestly am not seeing the tanking. I mean, I know it's tanking, but I don't think it's any faster than previous years. Top Series 1, that's what I mean, you've got like every big product, you've got to be the first couple days. Like by Saturday, if you're listing stuff on Saturday, if you're going out and buying a box at the shop on Saturday, you've lost half the value already on Saturday. And that's nothing new. That's not a 2025 issue. That's the way it's been for a while. So I haven't seen a difference in prices tanking, no different than previous years, at least the last few that I've been ripping this product, Series 1. John says, and my wife was a professional dancer, so her math ends at 5, 6, 7, 8. Zach says, Javi Baez tops living, Bo's biggest purchase gamble. That wasn't a gamble. That was for my PC. He will be flush with cash when Javi makes the Hall of Fame. That wasn't a gamble. That was just a boneheaded purchase. And I bought 9 copies of the Javi Baez Tops Living because I'm a big Javi Baez fan. And this was, selling cards was not even real. I mean, it was a side hustle, but it wasn't certainly not what it came to be in 2020 when COVID hit. I wanted to fill a binder page, and I made a lot of dumb purchases in 2018. 2018 was the year of dumb. I made a lot of dumb decisions in 2018, especially when it came to buying Cubs. That was the first full year of the 1 Million Cubs project. I bought a Javi Baez living set proof. That was even a bigger. That was dumber than the living 9 copies because 9 copies of the living set card was like $50. But I bought the Javi Baez proof that was like $175. What the hell? I mean, it's even more of a what the hell today after him becoming statistically one of the worst players in the game. But it was even a head scratcher a month later. Why did I do that? Cooter says, just wait a couple months. No need to educate anymore. We will just put tariffs on other countries' knowledge. Big smarts. JK says the problem is too many middle-aged men quitting their jobs in radio to sell cards full-time in their basement, hoarding Mike Trout autos and Goodwill pallets. It's a good point. John says, I don't do modern basketball, but I remember Monopoly coming out one year and that being when it jumped the shark. The pivot away was quick. I would say I think basketball jumped the shark during COVID. Monopoly came out after COVID. And that was a big, Monopoly was a big draw. And there's always going to be big draws here and there, but the market I remember like the peaks in basketball were crazy in 2018, 2019, and that was probably brought on by Luka. Now, I am certainly no expert on basketball cards, but just from my viewpoint, and I'd be curious what people that are in the basketball game or were in the basketball game in 2017, 18, 19 have to say about this. But from my personal experience, somebody would get hot and score 40 points, and I could put a Panini Chronicles rookie up for $5 and it sells immediately. There was a player that got hot in the playoffs one year, and his stuff was selling for like $10, $15 a card. And that just doesn't happen today. Even taking into account inflation. And, I think that, and then the Last Dance, I think, was kind of the run up. And then the Last Dance, and you were selling BJ Armstrong cards for $2, $3 a pop. And then it just kind of was all downhill from there. That's kind of my interpretation from my own experience selling basketball during that time and continuing here and there. Bull, the good old days. Hey, Bull is starting to sell again. I sold a few Bull cards last week that have been sitting in my eBay store for almost 5 years. Bull. If you were hoarding Bull, it might pay off soon. Bo posting top right fielders may be his biggest loss since his Cubs and Bears playoff prediction. Hey, Kyle Tucker, say a Suzuki, baby. What is the approximate value of all the Cubs cards? I have no idea. And it depends. Resale value, what I paid for them, what I could sell them for collectively. I could give you multiple prices. I could give you, what are they worth to me? If I sold them all together, if I sold them individually, if I sold them by comps, if I sold them by Beckett price, if I sold them whatever. I don't know. Brian says, picked up a huge beer PC edition off eBay last night. 1953 Bowman Gil Hodges. It has a lovely Schaefer beer ad on it. Very cool. Very cool. So I hate it when people do videos and don't show photos. And so I want to see what it looks like. So we're gonna show you. Let's get a nice close up. Oh, here's a nice close up. Oh yeah, that's a cool card. All right, so let's share the screen. So there you go. Look at that shape. That's a beauty. Look at that Schaefer beer ad. What's down here? Is that Bulova? I wonder what that is. Old Gil Hodges. Schaefer beer. That's pretty cool. I like it. John says, speaking of gambles, if you bought Bitcoin 2 weeks ago, you'd be down 10% today. Zach and Porter says, I can validate that upon purchase, Bo was an e-bike fiend. I did. I rode my e-bike to New Glarus, which not only was it almost 60 miles round trip, but if you've ever been to the New Glarus area, there are a lot of really steep hills. My legs were burning. Max says, hey, old people, novel idea. If you don't like the topic a creator posts about, don't fucking click on it. This is America. Don't we all wear sneakers with every outfit? Yes. Count down to the Madison Card Show. I'll watch. I only rip Broders and TTMs. There you go. Max says, just like you old bastards bitching about Pokemon yesterday, half the show's attendance wouldn't exist, and you'd have more competition if you're a dealer. Insert old man yelling at cloud meme here. John says, then I sneak them by the eBay overlords. Gem City says, my favorite gamble is PYP breaks. Those are my least favorite, and I'll tell you why. Let's finish Brian's comment. Cheap players that sell for pennies on the box are almost never a losing proposition. That's fair. Okay. Second point, I'll agree with. First point, I hate pick your player breaks. I have been absolutely ravaged by pick your player breaks. I mean, getting like spending like $10, $15 for 5 or 6 base cards. I bought into when Ethan was during his rookie card and Topps update back in 2022. I bought into 55 case breaks of pick your player of Ethan, and I think I pulled one like color, maybe two. No, I pulled a black, which is that's a nice hit. There's a freaky deep crowd that loves the black parallels. I pulled a black and I pulled a one of the foils, like numbered to 499. I pulled, I think, 2 or 3 golds, some rainbow foils. That's it. And then like 700 base cards. And so the buy singles crowd would tell me you should buy singles. Because I could have, I spent hundreds of dollars. I don't even know how much I spent. I don't want to know, but it definitely wasn't worth what I got. John says, pitcher and catcher updates are worse than national countdowns. I definitely prefer pitcher and catcher reporting updates. 100%. 100 times out of 100, give me a pitcher and catcher countdown to a national countdown. How old does one need to be considered old in this chat? Is it based on age or life milestones? John says, saying pitchers and catchers report in 33 days is just telling people you have nothing to look forward to in life. Well, but on the other end of the spectrum, isn't saying the national is 33 days away? Like, do you have nothing else to look forward in your life than to hang out at a card show? I mean, it's kind of the same. Merle says, I can't imagine anyone that fell for the SNL clickbait thumbnail has stuck around for your review of the show. I got a fever, and the only prescription is more F-bomb. Tom says, I'm guessing the oldest on here are the ones without a photo. Zach says, Max doesn't have a photo, and he's classified people into age categories. Orlando is here. What's happening? John says, well, that's a relief. I'm glad 2025 is tanking as quickly as previous years. We don't need instability in the hobby. Zach says, buying mine makes sense. Fill an entire page in a binder. I like it. Word says, the slow reset continues. John says, I was the oldest before Orlando just rolled in. Our faces are quite visible in the hundreds of YouTube videos we've each done. Max says, being here basically every day for the last 3 years, it's pretty easy to peg people's ages, Zach. Not too hard. Gem City says, WNBA hasn't peaked yet, is my prediction. I think WNBA is still on its ascent. I agree with that. Max says, Zach, I think you need to take almost everything said here a little lighter and not straight to the heart. Old in the chat for me would be any more older than me because it was a joke. Fucking relax, bro. COVID era may be blurry. When the NBA was in lockdown during peak COVID, basketball was king. Then the next season started almost immediately. And I think that made everything like all wacky. Tom says hockey has definitely peaked since Bo has gone 24 hours without mentioning it. People got burned out of NBA for like 18 months straight. Got it, bro. Thanks for letting me know. Bull is a solid player. 300K Wemby cards graded. Hey, I listed a few Victor Wembanyama rookies last night. One has already sold. I listed, I think, about 4 or 5. I've still got how many? 5, 6, 7 still to list. One sold last night. So get your Victor Wembanyama rookies in my eBay store, 99centcards.com. Dan's here. What's happening? John says, asking someone the value of their collection is considered in poor taste by most in the hobby. Tom says, Schaefer, the beer to have when you're having more than 12. John says, no different than someone not in the hobby immediately asking what your most valuable card is. And I always just spin that, well, my favorite card or my oldest card. And usually when I spin it, somebody's like, what's the most? Because anyone not in the hobby always asks, what's your most expensive card? And I'll be like, my oldest card is an 1887 Allen and Ginter. I've got 5 or 6 of them. Oh, how much are those worth? Millions. Millions, I say. Dan says the latter is very common. Yes. common and annoying. Gem City Card Show says $2 for a player that got me 50 base cards and at least one numbered out of 15. I won, but I've lost many too. Brian says, new job is going well. I'm working with a distributor and selling beer again. I have 15 stops today, so it will be a cold one. So I worked with, I think you're with Wisconsin distributors. I'm trying to think of who my contacts were there. See. If you work with anybody that's in the shipping department, gosh, and I should know this. I worked with a few different contacts throughout them being a client, but tell them you know me, Allen Lund Company, and they might, who knows what they, yeah, my shipments were always late. They charged me too much money. I don't know what type of response you'll get. Jody, good morning. Dan says national, 32 Fahrenheit in Korea, 60 Fahrenheit wherever Word is, -4 in Unicorn Cupcakes territory. Gee, says Word. It is, I think Merle's got us all beat up in Minnesota. It's -4 here. -4. Feels like it's -11. Dan renews his visa tomorrow for another year. John says you need a visa to be in Charlotte. Word has the best avatar, bro. What is the avatar? Midget pinch hits. I try. Such a great card. Johnny M says, you mean I'm not the oldest here at 65? Maybe we should start a Hobby Evolution death pool for cards. L1C says, sounds like this chat has a case of the Mondays. Merle says, made a lot of progress with my Twins checklist yesterday. Added 30 years of Twins cards in the spreadsheet so far off the TCDB checklist pages. Very cool. Excellent. Organization is part of the collecting. I've gone through several iterations of checklists and learned each time. It's part of the joy, bro. Yeah, sometimes I enjoy the organization part. Most times I don't. Most times it's like, I'd rather ship and list. Merle says, I've got the day off for President's Day. Oh, yeah, by the way, no mail today. Post office is closed. I've got the day off for President's Day so I can play with cards a little more, starting with listing some extra 1975 Topps cards. Oh, that reminds me, I've got a whole stack of 75s that were in my Goodwill pallet that I need to get listed. Max says, Word lives in the mantle of fucking Earth, apparently. Spam likely. What's going on? Good morning. -10 for John in Rapid City. Woo, woo, woo. That's cold. That's brisk, baby. John says, our company instituted the holiday today for the first time. I am fully committed to not working today, bro. -5. I don't buy into the wind chill adding to the temp BS, though. Does make it colder, though. Or actually, it doesn't make the temperature colder, but it makes your skin die faster. Still -15 here, going to get up to -1. Our high today, 3. Above, 3 above. Are there extra 75s, says Word. Gem City says, am I the only one who gets excited for hoops to look at every background to find famous or infamous people in the background? You might be. At least in here. I bet you are in this chat. At least in this chat, you might be the only one. Max says, the feels like temp is what you're looking for, which is essentially the same thing as wind chill. I think they just renamed it and maybe gave it some different analytics. I don't know. Gem City says, wind makes moisture disappear, and because of that, fucking sucks. And by the way, Orlando reminds us it's 75 degrees in South Florida. Boo. It's only 79 degrees warmer down. Did you watch the Saturday Night Live show last night? So I know that there's a lot of people that, it's not funny anymore. And here's the thing. It's just as funny as it's always been. It's just, we're older. We're all older, depending on our ages, but we're all older than we used to be. And I still think SNL is funny. Sure, some years are funnier than others. I shared the story, and I started watching Saturday Night Live in the early 90s, probably like around 91, 92. I didn't have like a TV like that in my bedroom. Back in the day, not everybody had TVs in every room in the house. But I had a small, like 6-inch, like one of those portable TVs, black and white. And I had one of those in my room. And so, like, after bedtime, I didn't really have a bedtime, but I wasn't supposed to watch TV, but I did anyway. And I would have that small little black and white TV in my bed. And I discovered Saturday Night Live, Adam Sandler, Phil Hartman, Chris Farley, great cast in the early 90s. And I watched it. And of course, I don't watch every week, but it's always been something that I enjoy watching. I am an SNL fan, and I've gone back and watched the reruns all the way to the start, and I love it. So last night's 50th anniversary, I was really looking forward to it, and it did not disappoint. Like the new skits, Chris Kattan got old. Like what happened to Chris Kattan? And maybe he's got something going on, and I shouldn't make light of it, but he didn't look right. He looked off. But anyway, I thought it was awesome. I was looking forward to it, and it did not disappoint. The Adam Sandler song, 50 Years, was both funny and like tearjerker at the same time, and you could see the emotions, especially as he sang about those that have left us: Phil Hartman, Chris Farley, Norm Macdonald. And so, that was pretty emotional. But I thought it was awesome. I thought it was great. The Kate McKinnon, like alien skit is always great. Woody Harrelson played an amazing drug addict in that skit. What were some of the other skits that were, Black Jeopardy is great. The only thing that I was hoping for that they didn't do was on Weekend Update. I was hoping they wrote each other's jokes, and I understand it's probably they had a theme. It's the 50th anniversary, so maybe it wouldn't have worked. Oh man, I sometimes am like in tears when they're reading each other's jokes. So that was the only thing that was missing that I wish they would have put on. I ended up going to bed. There was like a half an hour left, and like it's like 9:45. Like usually I'm like getting ready for bed at 9:15. So I'm 30 minutes later than usual. Didn't get the greatest sleep because of Ernie the night before. And my wife's like, "You're going to bed? There's only 30 minutes." I'm like, "Only 30 minutes? I'm already 30 minutes past my bedtime." So I turned it on in bed and watched, a few minutes of it. But, I might go back and watch the last half hour just to catch up. And at some point I'll catch the concert that they aired on Friday. Let's see, where are we at? So that's my thoughts on Saturday Night Live. Where are we at? Dan says there's a collector who looks for referees in the background. There's a lot of freaky deeks out there that collect odd, and I think that's cool. That's what makes the hobby. Like that's those beer ads in the background, referees in the background, like celebrities in the background, cameo pics. I think those are cool. John says Orlando continues to lead a better life than the rest of us, bro. Max says, but you're in Florida. Johnny M says, Max, you would buy into it if you worked outside. Max says bath salts. Mr. Archer says, good morning, fellas. Whatever happened to bath salts? Max says, Johnny, but I don't, so I don't give a shit. LOL. Howdy, says Word. LOL, says Johnny M. Go to school and work inside. Own the people that work outside. Interesting idea. Porter says, I love cold weather. I don't have to mow my lawn, plus my ultra MAGA neighbors stay inside their house all winter. Bonus. Mahomes cards dropped 25% in a week. Yep. Porter says, I'm waiting until I'm able to watch this special with my wife tonight. I did catch some clips on Twitter. Eddie Murphy as Tracy Morgan was hilarious. Yes, that was great. Cooter says, owning people has been illegal since 1863. Orlando, living the good life, bro. Gem City Card Show says, I own people on cards. And that's the hobby, I think. Max says, if you don't work for yourself, consider yourself owned, Coots. Brady cards have raised 15%. That is interesting. So that's what I had for today. A lot of shipping. I won't eat 3 cheese lasagna. I was dying. I think I was dying. Like, you say it here, and like if you didn't watch it, you're like, that's not funny. That makes no sense. But if you were watching it, I was dying. I won't eat 3 cheese. I can't do Tracy Morgan. I can't do any impersonations, but it was funny. You had to be there. All right. That's what I had for today. Hit up my eBay store. I did drop prices on most everything 2025 Top Series 1 in my eBay store. So price drop has taken effect. Check it out, 99centcards.com. You'll save even more. When you buy 7 or more cards at regular price, you'll save 25% off at checkout. Looks like I've made 7 more sales since we started. We're at 289 orders to ship. So I do thank you for that. Hit the like button if you haven't already. Subscribe to the channel and shop my store, 99 Cent Cards. 99centcards.com. And don't forget, this Saturday is the Madison Card Show. John Nolan Drive, Sheraton Hotel, 140 dealer tables, sold out show, long waiting list. Madison Card Show this Saturday, Sheraton Hotel, John Nolan Drive. Hope to see you there. But we'll see you tomorrow morning, maybe 7 a.m. again. See you then.